And before starting the discussion, as always, let us think about all the merits that we have done throughout this life, as well as during this previous lives or during this samsara, because this type of Dhamma discussion is possible only because we have we have done enough meritorious deeds in the past. That karmic energy has created causes for this Dhamma discussion to be possible. So let us remind ourselves about all meritorious deeds that we have done during our past lives as well as during this life. So that power, that positive power agglomerate together, creating the perfect environment for us to understand this Dhamma. May our minds become suitable for Dhamma discussion and understanding of Dhamma, and the background or the environment that we are currently in may become suitable for a Dhamma discussion without any disturbances, without any hindrances. May that environment become calm and quiet and peaceful as well, so that you can concentrate on these Dhamma points and complete the understanding, opening up the eyes of wisdom and completing the Arya path. With this blessing, accept this with a sadhukar.
Sadhu, sadhu,
Sadhu,
sadhu.
sadhu, sadhu.
And just like we have mentioned the positive aspect, now we are going to focus on the negative aspect, which are the negative things that we have done throughout this samsaric journey. We have met various individuals, Aryas, non-Aryas, good people, bad people, and with those individuals, with those sentient beings, we have created various bonds, sansaric bonds. So some might be positive, some might be negative. So as 10 unwholesome acts were our basic tools of survival when we had no idea about Aridhamma. So we have used those negative tools to survive, to find something good, to find something Nitya, Sukha, Atta, and Subha. So in that pursuit, we have harmed many sentient beings. So if that was done towards an Arya, towards a Supreme Buddha, Pacheka Buddha, or a Arihat person, or a other Arya person, then that might that is a very grave mistake that we have done. So today we are acknowledging all those mistakes, and in Buddha Sasana, seeking forgiveness is and repentance is not about sadness, not about disappointment. It is about acknowledging our faults and moving forward with the idea that we are not going to do those kinds of negative things again. That is, this is an opportunity to grow. This is an opportunity to be better. So let us take this opportunity to acknowledge our faults um, and with the determination that we are not going to uh, act in that way again. And with that idea in mind, accept this with the sadhkar.
Sadhu, sadhu,
Sadhu,
sadhu.
sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu,
Uh,
sadhu, sadhu.
I think the video is not pinned yet because it should come to the main screen if it was pinned. Mr. Tushan, I think pinning is not the word. It should be spotlight.
Okay, Thero, I'll do that.
Yeah, pinning would just does that only for you, but spotlight it does it for everybody else as well. Now it's so. We go to the questions. I think we have few questions in the WhatsApp. We go in the order that we have received the questions. I read the questions first, and then we move on with the discussion. So one of the questions that we received was, I feel like I learned quite a bit after listening to the sermon, but I am at a loss as to how to put it into practice when I return to my daily life. Even though I know something, I don't seem to know how to use the weapon of Dhamma. Then I seem to go into a raga state, especially the raga patisampada about past rupa, like watching a drama. Even if I am cleaning, uh, even if I am cleaning my room. So that's a good question, because we should encourage these types of questions, because these are practical questions. I think we should focus more on practical questions, because and we should go back to the understanding, reflecting through the practical questions, practical problems that we have in our day-to-day life, because Buddha Dhamma is about the practicality of this world, and how we live this life. So in this life, we are going after pleasures, we are going after blissfulness. So even though we are going after blissfulness, what we get is something to suffer about. So this should change. So that the changing comes with the changing part comes with our understanding. So that's why we need Dhamma first. But when we listen to Dhamma, when we understand how the world works, what is the mechanism of this world, basically paticca samuppada, and how blissfulness is created in a very illusional manner. When we know about these basic principles, then it is time to put that into practice and make our lives better. Otherwise, there's no point in listening to these Dhamma talks. There's no point in trying to contemplate these things, because there should be a purpose, and the purpose is to make our lives better in a way that the suffering would become lesser and lesser, and one day it will cease to exist. And that would end the sansari journey as well, because sansara is another word for suffering. So that would also end when we follow this pathway. But we should act immediately and put this into practice for the immediate things that we are going to do, because then only the suffering would start to reduce gradually. So and it would turn back. So the in Buddha Sasana, blissfulness is the reduction of suffering. We are not going to create something new. We are not going to create something new that is blissful. What is blissful is the reduction or the ending of suffering. So since we have discussed the principle, how the blissfulness is felt, how the blissfulness is perceived, then we know what we are talking about. So we cannot have something blissful unless we are already in a suffering state. So looking for something blissful is actually looking for some negative deficiency in yourself, so that you can become blissful. So in Buddha Sasana, since we know this technique, We are not looking for something new, something blissful. We are not looking for things. We are not looking for images, sounds, smells, tastes, touches, or thoughts. But we are looking for the reduction of suffering. Reduction of suffering itself is blissful, because now we don't have to look for any blissfulness in the first place, because we are not deficient anymore. So that is blissful. So with that idea, now we have to act on this. We have to use the things that we have already gained or understood. So how do we do this? So when we are doing our basic things, now you have to understand one more thing, very important point. This is a slow medicine. So even though we already know everything about Dhamma, that doesn't mean all the raga, all the dvesha, all the moha would go away. That is the state of an arihat. So we would not be able to achieve it unless all the other requirements are filled. So that is why it is said, this is a Seka Patipada. You might know what a Seka Patipada is. Seka Patipada is, you are just a trainee. You are training to become an arihat. You have to train. First, you have to get the basic knowledge, and that is how you enter the training course, and then you become a trainee. From Sotapanna, that means after Sotapanna, one would become a Sakadaga or a stream enterer for Sakadagami stream enterer. So Sakadagami stream enterer, from Sakadagami stream enterer to Arihat state, you are practicing, you are training your mind in a way that Raga, Dosa, and Moha would not occur in yourself. But um, you would focus on the Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta nature of the world, so that the Raga would get eliminated, Dosa and Moha would get eliminated. So for this, you have to practice the Satipatthana, Chattaro Satipatthana, Kaya Kayanupasi, Dhamme Dhammanupasi, Chitte Chittanupasi, and Kaya Kayanupasi, Chitte Chittanupasi, Dhamme Dhammanupasi, and Vedanasu Vedananupasi. Those are the four things. So you have to practice these four things. When you practice these four things, your mind would get trained accordingly, because you are using something like a software. So you are training your mind using a software, so that it becomes in a certain way, or it changes into a certain way that is very very calm and quiet, and we call this samadhi. And this samadhi is what gives opens up the eyes wisdom, or we call it panya. So panya is a result of samadhi. Samadhi is by sila, so that is why we call sila, samadhi, and panya. And Satipatthana helps to achieve this sila state. And sila cannot, arya sila is a result of listening to Dhamma, because you don't know what sila is without listening to Dhamma. So that is why it starts with prajna, panya, sila, samadhi, panya. So that is how this works. So you have to apply this to your day-to-day practice. So how do we do this? So again, I am highlighting that point. You would not be able to get rid of all the raga, all the dvesa, all the moha, all at once in a few days or few seconds. Yes, that is also a possibility for Gatitanya, for the people who has the wise, who are wise and who has brilliant mindset, who has done all the homework throughout the sansaric journey, filling all the paramitas. Then they are able to do that. Few seconds, and they have achieved the ultimate state. But below that, there's Vipatitanya. Vipatitanya is also a very considerably higher, highly abled individuals. Has a very wise mind, has a uh, and they also have completed all their paramitas, and they are also very capable of achieving that state. But the third state, which is Neya, and Neya also divides into we have three, we can divide the Neya as well as the Ugatitanya, Vipatitanya also into three states. That is Hina, Madhyama, and Pranita. So the Pranita state is the higher state, and the Madhyama is the middle level, and the Hina is the lower level. So each category is again divided into three, and again subcategory. We can divide this one category into subcategories as Hina, Madhyama, Pranita. So it becomes a range. It becomes a spectrum. So in this spectrum, since in our era we get people who has completed some of the paramitas, who has created some of the courses, but needs to complete the rest of the pathway in with effort, with putting a lot of effort, with putting a lot of energy and dedication to it. So that is us. That is who we are. And now what we are going to do, what we should do is we should practice the pathway with the understanding, of course, and in a very methodical manner. Because for Neya, it is the method, it is the following of the method which is given by Supreme Buddha that would get the, or that would complete the rest of the pathway. So for us, what we should do is we should know where raga occurs. We should know where dosa occurs. Sometimes we would be able to understand where moha occurs. This is a mere moha state of mind. But moha is a very hidden area in our mind, because that is why it is called moha. Moha, when we go to the nirukti of moha, moha is something like the word moha, the sound moha can be divided into mua, ha. Mua means the mouth. Ha means covered. When we cover the mouth of something, let's say you have a bottle which is not transparent, the bottle or a can or something which is not transparent, so you cannot see what is inside the bottle. So only way to access the bottle is through the opening or the mouth. So if you cover the mouth, you don't know what is inside. So something like that. The nature of moha is it is covered, so you don't know. So if the covered state of moha is uncovered, then you have achieved, you have eliminated that kind of moha. So moha is there. Then again, raga is there. You know what raga means. You know the nature of raga. You know when it arises. That is not hidden to that extent. The final level of raga might be hidden still hidden to you, but the denser level of moha, raga, the very strong level of raga is always detectable by everyone. Again, dosa is more denser, more energetic, so it is very well recognized by your mind, very well identified by your mind. The detection power of dosa is very high, so you know when raga arises, when dosa arises. Raga comes with a part of moha as well. Dosa also comes with a part of moha. So when we know what we need to do, which is raga kyo, dosa kyo, and moha kyo, that is nibbana. So that is what we should achieve. And when we know that when raga arises, we have to see in a certain way, so that we get this the real idea of reality, which is there's no basis for this raga. So that is where we achieve. That is where we highlight, or that is where we should point. We should point to anicca, dukkha, anatta, which would lead to the idea that there's no basis for this raga. So when the basis is gone, all the other things are gone along with it. So let's say you want to watch a television program or you want to watch a drama. So this thought comes to your mind while you are cleaning. Now, the usual way of thinking, the thinking pattern, the normal way of thinking is you accept it. You accept it, and the acceptance part comes with the idea, which is Nicha Sukha Atta Subha. So you have already decided that is Sukha, that is blissful. The drama is blissful, and then that is Subha, that is perceived as positive, and that is Atta, which is essence, full of essence, and that is that can what do you call treat this suffering mindset, which is looking for drama. Now this mindset which has arisen is looking for drama, and the what is nicha component of it is you think that supplying the giving what the mind wants would achieve your target or would achieve your goal, and you would not be suffering anymore. But the thing is, you have to now focus on the reality. Now this is what led to the thought, I mean, when you accept this kind of firstly the mindset arises that you want to watch this television drama, and then you accept it, that is when you decide, or you have already decided, which is with avijja, that the drama is Nicha, Sukha, Atta, and Subha. So when you decide and when you watch it, you have already done this million times. You are not satisfied. You know the results. You are not blissful, because when the drama ends, it always ends with a suffering state. So you are still in the deficiency to watch the next part. You are still in a deficiency to complete or to eliminate this suffering. So you are still finding solutions. You did something that you thought would reduce the problem, would get rid of the problem, but you could not get rid of the problem. Instead, it became uh, it became a new problem, and you are still having the same problem, but in a new way. Most of the time, the problem increases. The state of suffering increases with the watching, because the vijnana becomes stronger, so the deficiency becomes stronger. Vijnana pacca nama rupang, nama rupa pacca salayatana, and the salayatana state also becomes stronger, and now the urge to watch that TV show is higher than before. So you have not achieved what you wanted, anicca. You could not achieve what you wanted, and that is anicca. And dukkha, so that now the state is still dukkha, and you have not achieved something full of essence. Instead, it is essenceless, and it is negative. Now the thing is, your old mindset would again give a idea or create an idea in your mind. Now you have to watch the next episode as well, so that you would become blissful. Now this is how we can apply, or we can compare this kind of a mind into a mirage. So you are looking for water in the mirage. You are walking towards the mirage. The mirage also moves away from you. You would never be able to get water from a mirage, but still you are walking towards it, thinking that one day you would be able to quench your thirst. So this is the mindset that arises within oneself when that person is not in sati, not in mindfulness of what is being happening, but goes with the flow. Now the person is going with the flow, and he is watching the TV and suffering in the process. So what we should do is, we should take a step back and think about, is it really blissful? Is it really creating a positive environment for me? Is it really quenching my or treating my suffering, or is it increasing my suffering? It is full of, it is anicca, it is dukkha, anatta, anasubha. So if I watch this, then I am actually suffering, but my mind says otherwise. So you are going with a wise mindset to the beginning and thinking about this drama. So is it actually Nitya Sukhatha Subha? Then you would understand, no, it is not Nitya Sukhatha Subha. It is something of suffering nature. So this is one way of thinking. This is essential for somebody to think in Arya way. This kind of a mindset, this kind of a thinking pattern is very essential for somebody to think in Arya way. But you can have different versions of this pattern. So you can think about what am I looking at? These are just people doing their own professions. In reality, this is actually not even reality. This is common sense. So what are they doing? They are doing their job. They are earning a living through acting. What are they doing? Go to the minds. Go to the set, the film set where this is filmed. So one is there and he is shouting at the other people saying action or cut or something, and another person is just recording the thing, and other people are crying, laughing, just like lunatics, without any context. Just looking at they are just looking at a written script, and they are acting out that. If you are looking at this scene, or let's say this drama, in that mindset or in that viewpoint, so you are in the set, video set or film set, and you are just watching how these people are performing, and you would not feel the same. You would not feel the same that you are feeling from the television itself. So it would be a very different idea. So you would and add this also to that anicca dukkha anatta mindset. So you are suffering while watching other people doing their profession for a living, and they are just pretending, and nothing of that actually happened, and it was something happened or was created in the mind of somebody. He was just writing things as a script, and we are watching it, and at the places where we should get angry, we get angry. At the places where we should get sad, we get sad. And at the places where we should get scared, we get scared. For what? And if you go to the film set again, you'd not get scared. You'd not get sad. You'd not get happy. You would see that it is just a film, just people acting out things with funny costumes. Nothing more than that. So when you think like this, somebody would be able to get rid of that mindset with this kind of a thinking. Other people would just apply that to the um, TV screen itself. So you're seeing the image of me, but actually, are you seeing the image of me? You're just seeing dots, pixels. So your screen is projecting, or your screen is lighting up with various kind of colors, and your mind says that it is a monk. But can you actually have a blissful feeling from the light rays, from pixels? No, it is just a illusion. And the thing is, you are creating this mindset in these images, and these interpretations are given in your mind, and you are enjoying through those images, not something in the outside world. So apply that also to the initial understanding. So you are using a set of pictures, set of images, which is also created in your mind in a very illusional manner, and using that for your own suffering. Because in the end, you suffered. You created a vijnana, and that created a very negative salayatana. And that is just like a very raging rash. You want to scratch all the time. So that is suffering. So you used totally harmless colors, color dots for your own suffering. So thinking like that also would get rid of the problem. And you can use different kind of methods of thinking into this. And again, the kaya anupassana, you can divide and see. Is there actually a thing here? Is there actually a film there? So, or it is just a it is just you think that these are people. Again, you can divide that into apo, tejo, vayo, patavi and see. Again, you can divide the phone and or the television also and see. You can put that in different levels. This is based on what works for you. So you can use different methods, different ways of thinking, but the basic is the same, which is anicca, dukkha, anatta. The thing is, you have to know you are not achieving something blissful out of this. Instead, you are actually in a state of suffering, and the suffering state increases if you do it more and more. That is the basis. And based on that basis, you have to think in this way. So this is how you practice this pathway, or this is how you apply Buddha Dhamma in your day-to-day life. Raga is wandering in a specific area, using your thoughts, thinking that there's water in the mirage, something like that. So I used a comparison there. So in that comparison, you are looking for water in a desert, and you are just got deceived by the image of a mirage, and you are just going after things using your mental ability. Oh, it starts with thoughts, of course, in the beginning, and it becomes stronger, and words come out of your mouth, and it becomes more and more stronger, and you act out the things that you want. You're going after that using your actions. So the strength increases like that. So in this process, you are just doing something like going after water and in a desert after seeing a mirage, going after a mirage. So understand in this way. And the all the time what we do is, when raga arises, we are not going to we are not going to get frustrated because of that, because that is how the Paticcasamuppada works. If we have the anusaya, if the image and the eye meet together, that creates a chakku viññāna. Based on the chakku viññāna, the anusaya is arisen, and the avijja paccaya sankhara, that cycle would start. Do you have any control over what happens in that process? No. Then why become sad? There's no point in becoming sad or disappointed. That disappointed mind comes if actually you can control what happened up until now. No, it is not how the world works. It is anicca. It is through the dependent origination. It is through causes and effects that this result came. So when you know this, you are not bothered about what already happened, but you are bothered about the future. Is this going to happen again in the future? No, that should not happen. If this happened once, then I have to see in a RA way. So then you have detected your problem, which is the raga, to watch TV. Then you have to see in a way, in a anicca, dukkha, anatta pattern. So when you see in a anicca, dukkha, anatta pattern, then that vijnana would reduce, and the kusala vijnana would start to occur or generate, and the kusala vijnana would delete or remove the bad vijnana as well, and that would give idea there's no point in watching television. Then even though your friend come and tells you there's a good TV show, aren't you going to watch that tomorrow or today night or today evening? Then your idea, the original idea that comes to your mind would be, what is the point? There's no point in watching these kinds of things. It's just wasting my time, and that is just useless. I am not going to suffer by associating with things, these kinds of things, thinking that there's actually blissfulness hidden in those items. So with this kind of a mentality would come gradually. It is not going to happen overnight. It is happening gradually. What you have to do is, when you detect it, act in a specific manner so that the anicca dukkha anatta is highlighted, and the uh, the value given to the world is reduced, and the value given to nibbana, or the freedom, or the calmness, freeness, non-attachment, non-bonding nature becomes highlighted. So you reduce three, which is you reduce the value given to the world, and you increase the value given to Nibbana. So when you do these two things, gradually the result would come. You are not attaching to the result. You are not thinking that this should never come to my mind again. It would come. If the causes are still there, it would come. If the causes to watch this TV drama is still there in you, then when the other people tells you, when there are TV advertisements about it, when you see a post about it on in the social media, that mindset would automatically arise. That is the nature of this world. So you are not going to get disappointed because of that. It is not how you practice the Arapatha. You know that it is the way. So that is why you have to know that you are helpless. You are helpless. You don't have any authority or ownership of what is going to happen next in your mind, because if an angry person comes in front of you, you get angry, and you get out of control, and you can hit that person as well. So to an extent, we feel like we have the control. Yes, true. That comes with the illusion of controllability. So that is a very deep topic. So I think we have already discussed about this. Just like a ball of fire, when rotated, we see a ring of fire. So just like that, we see the controllability of ourselves. So we have to use that controllability, because we cannot kill people. We are out of control of what is going to happen next. No, we have to use that illusion to get ourselves out of that situation. But that controllable nature becomes, the illusion becomes less and less when when the details become finer and finer. So that is why we need to train our mind. So when we train the mind, we will be able to have that illusion in finer levels as well. So when there's raga viraga, or when there's cheto vimukti, one would be able to control his mind according to how he wishes. Not that it happens because he wishes, it happens because of the dependent origination, but the process, when it happens in a very integrated manner, shows up something like an illusion where you are able to control this. Just like when a ball of fire is rotated in a ring, you see a ring of fire. Not that there's actually a ring, but you see it. It's an illusion. Just like I am being able to talk like this. I feel that, I sense that what I am talking is what I want, and I am controlling this. And that is because everything in the dependent origination process, or the Paticamuppada, is integrated so well that you feel in that way. So the illusion is so high. And we have to use that illusion as well. Otherwise, we would not be able to practice this pathway. We would just step back and stay out of this practice, because you would say, this would happen anyway, so why am I going to do that? No, we know we need that illusion. And at the end, when somebody attains arihathood, they would say, I have done all the things that needs to be done. Now I have nothing else to do. So that is the end. That is the conclusion that comes at the end, not at the beginning. Because in the beginning, you are already in the illusion. You are not seen through it. Once you see through it, once you see the reality as the reality, and the way how the world works, and in other words, when you attain arihathood, then you would be able to perform, think in that manner, or get to that conclusion. That conclusion is already always there in this world, but you cannot get to that conclusion until you complete the training course, which is the Seka Patipada. So that is for raga. And for dosa, you go a step forward, one step forward, where you are going after something you like. You are, let's say, we will get the same example where you wanted to watch the television show, where you wanted to watch the drama. So in this drama, what happens? There's a power cut. Oh, somebody comes and blocks the screen. Somebody starts to uh, tease you by turning the television off, by switching it off. So this would trigger a dosa paticca samuppada. Dosa paticca samuppada would create dosa salayatana, and that would make a very big mess. You would become angry, you would shout at others, you would not be having a very good time when that happens. So again, when that happens, you are helpless, but you have to try to use that illusion again to however to control this and to reduce the damage, minimize the damage. But what is happened or has happened, and what you should do is you should do something if that happens in the future. So that should happen. The doing part, or the the the, the things that you should do to stop this happening again should start right now after you detect it, and it should go on for some time. Otherwise, you would not be able to have a good result. And what are we going to do? How are we going to think? So you have to know attachment is the reason for suffering. So where you are going where you are attaching is of anicca, dukkha, anatta nature. So that is why you actually attach to the blissful sensation that is coming through the television. But that blissful sensation, that vedana, that sensation is of anicca nature. So cannot be controlled according to expectation. That is what happened. You thought is it is able to be controlled according to expectation, and you watched it, but it is not. So start somebody started playing with you, somebody started teasing you and turned it off. Now the blissfulness is not coming towards you through the TV. Now it is starting a dosa paticca. You are looking for causes, and you see the person who has turned it off, and you become angry with that person without knowing the paticca that this is of anicca nature, and you are helpless now, but to become a victim of suffering because you have already created tanha or attachment. The attachment is towards that blissfulness, and what you are attaching is of anicca, dukkha, anatta nature, and that because of that, when the things go south, you are in a suffering state. So in that sense, you have to know this is of anicca, dukkha, anatta. Dukkha nature also comes with anicca, and anatta, essenceless nature, and everything comes. So you have to go back to the beginning again. So this is of the all the suffering because of those came because I got attached. Why am I getting attached to this kind of TV show? Again, because I thought this is of value. I thought this is valuable. So again, is this valuable? You are going backwards and looking for a cause, looking for the root cause, and you are destroying the root cause. What is the root cause? Nitya Sukha Atta Subha. So you are destroying the root cause. So it becomes Anicca Dukkha Anatta Subha. So the opposite. And opposite cannot create the same the process or Paticcasamuppada, or the dependent origination which led to dosa cannot occur right now, because you have removed the you did not create the the root cause again. Instead, you saw the reality, and reality reduced the value. Reduction of value did not facilitate attachment. And when you don't attach, because you have not created the reason of suffering, you are not in a suffering state. This might seem like a lot of work for a very small thing, but it starts like this. Digang vasa santo digang asasamiti pajanati is what becomes rasang vasa santo rasang asasamiti pajanati. So you have to use this Dhamma in a very extensive manner in the beginning, and when the idea it gets embedded in you gradually, you would then be able to think in a very light manner and still be able to understand what you need. So that is what you should do. What's raga and dosa? So that is why it says kaya kaya anupasi, chitte chitta anupasi, vedanasu vedananupasi, dhamme dhammanupasi viharati, atapi sampajano satima vinaya loke abhijja domanasa. So this is how you eliminate abhijja and domanasa. When these two are removed, now your mind is perfectly ready for the wisdom to rise. So that is why we need this as Neya people. For Uggatithanya, for Vipatithanya, this might not be the pathway, but for us, we need the Sattaro Satipatthana, Chattaro Satipatthana. So our mind becomes the best field for the cultivation. So we cannot cultivate a barren field. We cannot cultivate a field full of wild plants or full of stones, full of with no fertilizer, no suitability for cultivation. So what we need to do is we have to create this field, or create this land, or change this land into something cultivatable. So we are using Satipatthana to achieve that target. When the Satipatthana is achieved, you are already achieved Raga Viraga. So Raga Viraga would help the Avidya Viraga, and that is the end result. So this would take time. This is slow medicine. This would happen gradually. It would take at least 6 months initially, 6 months to see a difference. So if you have started 6 months before or 1 year before, just go back to yourself, which was 6 months before, who was there 6 months before, and compare it with yourself right now, and see whether there's a difference. See whether you have improved in one of the things, raga, dosa, and everything. So when you apply it, and this examination, this um, this um, this detection of whether you have achieved what you wanted is very necessary. You have to think. You have think in a respective manner, so that you are able to see whether you are in a correct path, or you need some improvements, you need some help, you need some advices. So if you are able to you have to think in a retrospective manner, and you have to see whether you have achieved your target, at least to some extent, at least a minor extent. Because if you even have achieved a minor level of uh, success, then if you follow that same pathway, then again you will achieve again a minor success, and this would lead to more and more raga. And at the end, dosakya and mohakya. At the end, you would achieve the target, your target. So what you need, then you can understand what I am following is right, but I have to tune it up so that the extent of success that I achieve in a unit time period becomes higher. So you achieve, let's say, 10% of success in 6 months. Now you know that the pathway is right. If I follow again another 6 months, again another 10% would be lesser. But you need to make it, do it in a very effective manner. You have to think or tune this up in a way that in 6 months you can achieve 15%, not 10%. But achieving at least 10% or 1% means that the path is right. The problem is in the effectiveness. So you have to follow ways to make it more effective. So that is, I think that would be enough for the first question answer as the answer for the first question. If you have any questions or any cross questions regarding what we have already discussed, it is time to put those questions into the chat, and I'll move on to the second question while you are doing that. So I also ask you this question: summary of the concept of Kammatthana. Engraving a verse of the Buddha's Dhamma in our heart, repeating it over and over again, and applying it to our daily life. Is this it? So I think if you have put any questions regarding the things we have already discussed, then we'll move on to those questions. There's a question here. So, we are always struggling to get rid of our vexation by getting closer a rupa pattern or what we crave, perceive. But we can't be satisfied forever in that way. Actually, the satisfaction is not even for a second. It is a delusional satisfaction. It comes as an illusion. If even you can achieve some satisfaction for at least 1 second, then the world would become good. So we'll discuss here after reading this question. It is just tiresome, endless suffering. So we should contemplate the consequences of uselessness, effort of nature, mindset to get worldly things, mirage of each of us. I can summarize it as atiyati. We have to remind example of fire circle, distorted perception that the Thero mentioned, including atiyati, as much as we can when we crave something. Yes, and that is one of the practical way for practicing as a Buddhist. Yeah. Just focus on one thing that is mentioned here. That is, but we can't be satisfied forever in that way. Actually, we feel like we are getting satisfied. Think about this. So, for you to get satisfied from something, you should have to have initial suffering. For example, if somebody knocks on your head like this with a fist, then you become you get into a vexatious state. You become very you are in pain. Your head is in pain. So when you rub your head, when you stroke on your head, or other person strokes your head, you feel a blissfulness. That blissfulness should not be taken as blissful, because initially there was no problem. But true that you are feeling blissful when your head is stroked after a blow, then you feel blissful. That is true, but that is not very wise to think in that way, because initially there was no problem. Your head was perfectly normal, and in that state, that stroking, that rubbing would not be felt as blissful. It's just neutral touch. But once there was a blow, to your head, once it was knocked with your fisted hand, then you would feel blissful. So just like that, what you feel out of those TV shows, out of those images, sounds, smells, taste, whatever it is, you are feeling that because you have already created a suffering state in yourself. So in that manner, you are feeling a illusional blissfulness, not a real thing, even for 1 second. So that's need to be emphasized here. So not that after some time you are not be able to have that again, have that blissfulness for forever. So that is the problem. True that it is also a problem. You cannot have it forever. You just can have until the causes are getting aligned. So you are watching the TV until all the causes are being aligned. So that the current is working, your TV is working, all the electrical circuits are working, and the TV, what you call the broadcasting center is working, your eyes are working, your mind is working. So since everything is working, until that moment, you would be able to watch that TV show. But as soon as even one of the causes go out of line, then that is not going to work. That is also anicca. Not that it is not true, but again, you are not in a state of happiness. In a sense, yes, since your deficiency is being treated, you are happy, you are sensing a blissfulness. But when we again compare it with that example where you got knocked on your head and then got stroked and you felt blissfulness, your mind, you have already created a vexatious mindset inside you, and treating that mindset using the TV show is what is creating this blissfulness, and that kind of a blissfulness is essenceless in the first place. So in that sense, you are not having a blissful thing, but you have to see it with wisdom. In use, if you think with the sensation, yes, you are happy, you are being happy because you have a deficiency and it is being treated. You with sensation, wisdom point of view, suffering all through, or you are suffering all that time as well. So that is what I wanted to highlight out of this statement. Sure. So now we'll go to the second one. So in the second one, again I read the second one again. Summary of the concept of Kammatthana, engraving a verse of the Buddha Dhamma in our heart, repeating it over and over again, and applying it to our daily life. Is this it? So what is Kammatthana? Why are we bothered about Karmasthana? So there are two kinds of people. One, they have to meditate to attain Arya Phala, and the others, they want to contemplate. That means they prefer discussions. So mainly there are two broad categories. One are meditators, and one are, we can say, individuals who likes to discuss, and they like to discuss them or think in a way where the Dhamma is stimulated. So one is Vipassana, one is Samatha Purvanga Vipassana, and the other one is Vipassana Purvanga Samatha. So Vipassana, the higher entity or bigger entity in some people, and the Samatha becomes the higher entity or the bigger entity in other people. So there are two broad categories like this. So in these categories, Karmasthana helps them, both of them. So for Vipassana, the Kammatthana, in a sense of Vipassana, if you see at Karmasthana, it is the what do you call a weapon the individual uses. So what is the importance of Kammatthana? Kammatthana has two basic parts. One is the valuelessness of, or the pointlessness of the world is emphasized in one aspect, and in the other aspect, the importance and the value and the essence-fulness of Nibbana is emphasized in the other aspect. So, for example, there's a Sinhala Kammatthana says, Loka Anatai, Nivanama Natai. So, two parts. Loka Anatai is one part, Nivanama Natai is another part. So, Loka Anatai means the world is pointless. Something like that is the meaning. And the other part is Nibbana is full of essence. So these are the two parts. These are very short Karmasthana. So initially what you would aim is not a very short Karmasthana, because you are not able to understand everything through a very short Karmasthana at the beginning. So that is what happens when something does this again and again and again and again, and then the mindset becomes very, very tuned up. So you would be able to understand even with two or three lines, 2 or 3 words, what is being the emotion of Nibbana, the emotion of the world is pointless, is just can be recreated just with 2 or 3 words. That happens with the eliteness, that happens with the higher practice of this. But initially you get a very big karmasthana, just like something that lasts for 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Again, there are karmasthana that last even for 40 minutes. So in those karmasthanas, so for example, Rupa is Anicca, Dukkha, and Anatta. It is not suitable to take it as me, mine, or myself. Is a karmasthana. Then again, you go for Vedana. The same thing. Same thing. You apply same thing for Vijnana. And when that do like that, now your world, apart from that, you are describing the world. You are applying it to the Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana separately. So you have more ground to cover. So you understand more, and you are doing it you are just completing you are just applying this Pali stanza. Digang asa samiti pajanati. So that is what you are doing. You are using it in an extensive way. So you understand. So this new idea is it is understood more. So again, you can use different karmasthanas. There are this karmasthana. I is on fire. Rupa is on fire. Chakku Vijnana is on fire. Chakku Sampassa is on fire. Chakku Sampassaja Vedana is on fire. What is the fire which we are talking about? Raga fire, Dosa fire, Moha fire, Jati fire, Chara fire, Marana fire, Soka Parideva Dukkha Dhomanasa Upayasa fire. So there are 11 fires. So these components are on fire, and these are the 11 fires. And at the end, now like that, you are applying it to Rupa, Chakku, and you are applying to Sota, Gana, Jiva, Kaya. So for Sota, there are Sota, Saddha, Sota Vijnana, Sota Sampassa, Vedana. So 5 for each. You have 6 ayatanas. So 6 into 5, there are 30. So you are describing the world in a very extensive manner, so that you understand without any loophole. You are covering everything in the beginning. So this idea of reality is embedded in your mind without any shortcomings. So after that, at the end, what is the conclusion of the karmasthana? Nibbana is essential because it is out of these 11 flames. Now we are focusing on Nibbana. So these 2 parts is always there in a karmasthana. You are seeing the negativeness of the world, which is also called, if we apply the technical terms, anulomakshanti. And we need the part where we attain nibbana, which is called sammattaniyam. So we need anulomakshanti and sammattaniyam. We need the both when we are having a kammatthana. So that is what vipassana purvangama samatha people do. They just go in depth and just try to think repeatedly in a way that everything is cleared up in their mind. So that is vipassana. And when they do that, the samatha or the nivarana would be going down, and the mind would become clear, and it itself, the vipassana itself would create the better background to vipassana. So that is why it is called vipassana purvangama samatha, and it would create samatha, and samatha again would create the background for vipassana, and the vipassana would strengthen, or the sharpness of vipassana would increase. So again, then the other category where there is samatha purvanga vipassana, for them, they just start reciting the karmasthana in a very rhythmical manner. So the recitation would focus their mind to anicca, dukkha, anatta nature. They are not going in depth, in very they are not trying to explain the karmasthana for themselves in a very deep manner. They are just doing something very light. They are also contemplating on anicca, dukkha, anatta. They are also seeing rupa is anicca, dukkha, anatta to the way they understand, to the extent they understand. They are applying it. So they are seeing rupa is anicca, dukkha, anatta. It is not suitable to take it as me, mine, or myself. Something like that. There are karmasthanas. I think there are 400 plus karmasthanas that were created by our Vaharka Bharatana Thero. So some of them I have translated, and some of them I have given to you during our meditation sessions. So these karmasthanas are also having those two aspects. And one, we have already in those karmasthana sessions, we have followed the samatha purvanga vipassana method, because we cannot practice the vipassana purvangama samatha as a group, because then all of us would be silent, because we are having our different ways of thinking. So then there's no group thing. So to do a group thing, it should be samatha purvanga vipassana. But in the middle, there are, if you have noticed, we keep blank slots where nobody talks and everybody is silent and everybody is working with their mind. Now it is time to turn into vipassana purvangama samatha, because we need both. Nobody is 100% vipassana purvangama samatha or 100% samatha purvanga vipassana. We need both, but there are imbalances. So one would use vipassana more, and one would use samatha more. So for people who would use samatha more, they would focus on the repetitive nature as well. So they are repeating the words in a very rhythmical, very methodical manner, where there's a very what you call very calming nature, calming effect as well. And they are not also focusing on the sound. They are not focusing on the letters. They are not focusing on the words, but they are also focusing on the meaning. But they are not going in very high depths, but they are focusing on a very light manner. But when they do it repeatedly, that would create the background for vipassana. Again, vipassana would get sharpened, and they would be able to contemplate on that anicca, dukkha, anatta in a very sharp manner. So both would develop vipassana in the end. So the approach is slightly different for both people. So that is why we need Kammatthana. I think that answers the question. So you can start practicing. So there's this, you can try to practice both. Just like what we do during our meditation sessions. We do both. So when you do both, you would have something to compare. So when you compare, you would feel, no, I like the silent part better. Silent part is better for me. But to do that, you have to have a considerable experience. You have to practice this for some time. And then you would be able to understand, yes, I like the silent meditation. Um, I prefer silent meditation to the reciting meditation. The recitation part should not, and it is not needed to out of, as sounds from your mouth. You can do it in a silent way. Just I am referring to as that because we can then have a then we can that is the only way to differentiate both. So one is silent, or we can use the other words where we say vipassana puvangam samatha. So the vipassana based samatha would be preferred by some people after some time, and some would like samatha purangama or samatha highlighted vipassana. Oh, both of them are fine, and one is not superior to other. And for some individuals, it is their preferred method, and for others, it is the other way. So you can practice, and that is the answer for the second question. I think that's clear. So for the next question, I would like to ask a question because I have been confused about some parts of your sermon. The word all or sabba revealed by the Buddha is known as Panchaskandha, 12 ayatana, or Atta Rasa Dhatu, or 18 Dhatu. That is, each word is distortedly perceived. And I understood that this is the subject that should be viewed as Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta. I thought that the concept of the world was one of the core of the Buddha's Dhamma, and I was very happy to see this clearly confirmed in Olba르게 Thero's English translation and in your sermon. And I always keep this concept of world in my mind. Therefore, the object of vipassana in the world has distorted perception of existence, but in your sermon, sometimes the external real world is the object of anicca, which confuses me. I would like to hear a clear explanation on this. I understood the outside world as the object of asubha and Buddha's samatha is understood as asubha meditation, not samatha through breathing through the abdomen or nose. This asubha meditation, samatha meditation, can lead to vipassana meditation, and I have established the structure of samatha and vipassana Buddha Dhamma plus metta. I'm really curious. So if I simplify the question, so in the question, it asks that in the usual textbook or Pali Canon, and in Olba르게 Thero's sermons and in our discussions as well, it is the world is described as 12 ayatana, Panchaskandha, and again there's this 18 dhatu, or there's 6 dhatu, and there are different models. Sampad is also another model of describing the world. So there are these models, and it says that you have to apply the Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta to this model and see the world is Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta. And but the thing is, in our sermons, in our discussions, most of the time we tend to discuss things just like what we have already discussed, the drama and the things like cake, food, and smells, something like a smell of a perfume as Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta. So that is the confusion here. Why are we not focusing on the Panchaskandha? So now I need to highlight this and this is very, very important, the Tripitaka or the Pali Canon is something like an equation. Actually, the meaning of sutta, there are the names of suttas, like we have Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. Then we have the Karaniyamatta Sutta, Ratana Sutta, because sutta means equation. Equation is something that we can use to solve things, solve problems. So in mathematics, it's like that. So just like that, this is the equation. In Tripitaka, Pali Canon, most of it is equations. There are examples here now and then to explain these equations. Otherwise, most of the time it's just the equation, because you cannot memorize everything that Supreme Buddha said to each and every individual to word, because they were very, very extensively long. Because he can talk 512, he can preach 512 words when somebody is just preaching one word. So if he preached for 10 minutes, then we have to multiply it by 512 times to get the real size of the discussion. So that kind of a discussion is very hard to remember and very hard to take from generation to generation. Ananda Thero might be able to remember, but Theros be below that, down the line of that generation, would not be able to do that. So what they did was, in the first Sanghayana, they got the essence of these suttas and created they got the essence of these sermons and created them into suttas or equations. And those are what we have. So in that, we have just the structure, and we have to use this structure and put that into the real world, because we have the problem with the real world. We don't have a problem with Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana. No, not like that. But we have a problem with our food. We have a problem with our images. We have a problem with our television, because they are the things that create suffering. So we have to get rid of this structured mentality where this is what happens when when our minds have gone through the Western education system, where we are focused on mechanisms and how everything works, and we are based on technology or education system where everything is done with exams and everything. So I was also trapped in that for some time when I was coming to the Buddha Dhamma and becoming and getting ordained. So in the beginning of my monk life as a monk, so I also struggled between the Western education methods and the Buddha's teachings, because they are totally different. If we use those old techniques here, then it is very hard to get to the core concepts and to understand the real thing, because this is totally practical and totally elastic, no boundaries. You can think in whatever way you want, but there are certain limitations, but those limitations are very, very big. So there are no definitions for terms. The term can be changed according to the context. So you need to have wisdom to do that. Otherwise, it's like it says in the text. It says reading the Tripitaka or the Pali Canon, or reading those times it was not reading, trying to understand. So trying to understand this Dhamma without the initial understanding is like a blind elephant going in a very densely forest in a forest, because it would go and bump into one tree, and from that into another tree, and from that he would fall onto into a pit, and then he would get up get out of that pit and then will go and bump into a rock, because that blind elephant does not know what is right, what is wrong, what is paticca, what is anicca, dukkha, anatta. No idea of what should be done and what should not be done. So these types of people, when they try to practice the Arya pathway, since they don't have no idea what to practice, they would do all sorts of things. And that is why we see these kinds of mutated cults of Buddhism sometimes. Where the people do various sorts of things to attain Nibbana, and some say that even Supreme Buddhas are still alive, because initial understanding is very needed to understand the rest of the things. So for us to understand and for us to understand these suttas or equations are essential. So in that equation, see that Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana, that is the very most popular pattern or the classification that is used in Pali Canon. So in that classification, they always have covered everything in the world and has divided them into 5 categories, so that you don't miss anything. So you have in Rupa, you have Rupa Rupa, Saddha Rupa, Gandha Rupa, Rasa Rupa, Pottab Rupa and Mano Rupa. So every Rupa is there. You can put all the Rupa in the world to those categories. So every Rupa is covered there. And then Vedana. You have Rupa Vedana, Saddha Vedana, Gandha Vedana, Rasa Vedana, Pottab Vedana and Mano Vedana. So again, every Vedana is covered there. You don't have any Vedana out of that, which you cannot put into that category. And Sanyas, all the Sanyas are there. Rupa Sanya, Saddha Sanya, Gandha Sanya, Rasa Sanya, Pottabha Sanya, and Mano Sanya. And all the Sankara, Rupa Sanchetana, Saddha Sanchetana, Gandha Sanchetana, Rasa Sanchetana, Pottabha Sanchetana, Mano Sanchetana, everything is there. Chakku Vijnana, Sota Vijnana, Gana Vijnana, Jivha Vijnana, Mano Vijnana. All the Vijnanas are also there. So everything is divided and classified into 5 categories. Why? Because it's an equation, because it's a sutta. But we don't need everything. But for the first understanding, initial understanding, you have to know without any loophole, without any exclusion, everything is included, and that everything is anicca, dukkha, anatta. So you don't have any doubts that nothing is of anicca, nothing in this world is of anicca, dukkha, anatta nature, but nicca, sukha, atta, subha nature, but everything is anicca, dukkha, anatta, subha nature. So you have to know that part for the initial understanding. After that, you are not getting attached to all the rupa. So you are focusing. You're focusing on each rupa that you are getting attached to. You might not be liking paintings, various kinds of paintings that are done by very, very famous artists. You might not be a fan of that, but you are a fan of TV shows. Again, those are also images. Now you don't need to see all the images, but you have to see the images that you get attached to. So that's why we need live examples that are there in this world. We are not bothered about all the images that are there 1,000 miles away from here. Let's say there's an image of a polar bear in the Antarctic area right now. We are not bothered by it. Even if we see a picture of it, if we are not a fan, we would not be bothered by it. But if we see a picture of our parent or a child or our best friend or ourselves, then that is a problem. So all the images are not a problem for us. But we have to know all the images are anicca, dukkha, anatta. But everything is not a problem. Where we get attached is the problem. So we have to get the examples. We have to put our focus on those areas where we get attached. That is why we use both models. One is for the understanding, and the second way of thinking is for the practice of the path. This is how we practice the path. And that would, I think that would clear the question. Again, we have got another question, and that is about Jati, I think. And somebody was asking about to explain more or elaborate on Jati and Bhava. I read the question first. Give me a few seconds. My WhatsApp application got stuck, so it might take some time for me to get it restarted. Okay, so what is Jati and what is the difference between Bhava and Jati? How can we see this in our daily life? So that is a good question, because I think there's a bit lacking in these two terms, because when it comes to Sinhala, and these terms are very extensively used, so everybody knows what is Jati and what is Bhava. But when it comes to English, it is very hard to explain these words in English, because there are no words in the initial language or in English language for us to directly tell or directly translate. Direct translation is not possible. So we have to use various kinds of comparisons, similes, or whatever the things we can use to explain you what is Bhava, what is Jati. So I'll use this whiteboard. So we'll try to solve this problem once and for all using the whiteboard. Now, Bhava Pachya Jati. Now, what is Jati and what is Bhava? Bhava, the reason for Bhava is Upadana. We know that much. So Upadana leads to Bhava, and Bhava leads to Jati, and Jati leads to Jara, Marana, Soka, Parideva, Dukkha, Domana, Supayas. So we can directly translate Jati as types. So what are these types we are talking about? Types are anything. That is the better word. Anything. It can be mental, it can be physical, it can be Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana, Rupa, Sabda, Gandha, Rasa, Pottabha, Dhamma, anything. Anything can be type. So if everything is Paticcasamuppanna, or everything is created according to a Paticcasamuppada, then everything should be explained. Everything should be a Jati, and we should be able to explain everything using a Paticcasamuppada. So that's why everything is Jati. That is why it is called types. All the types. Rupa types, Vedana types, Sanya types, Sankara types, Vijnana types. Everything is a type and everything is a Jati. So since Panchaskanda, in the Panchaskanda model, everything is covered, you know that now everything is Jati. So Raga Jati, Dosa Jati, Moha Jati, then angry Jati, then we have this selfish Jati and kind Jati, Metta Jati. Those are various jatis. And we have Putu Jati, Chair Jati, then table Jati. So everything is a Jati. Or you can say table types, chair types. Apart from instead of types, we can say type, chair type, table type, then raga type. Everything is a Jati. So Jati. Now, since we know we need to know how to apply this in our day-to-day lives. That is the important part. So we should apply. We are going to try. We are trying to apply it to our emotions. So let's say angry Jati. So the person is right here. He is very calm and quiet, and this person becomes angry. Now, an angry Jati is created. A person who is angry, whose face is red, who is shivering in anger, who cannot even speak few words because he is very, very angry, and the words are very harsh, and his body is stiff, and he has a his high blood pressure is high, his heart rate is high. Now that is a angry Jati. Now that is different from Metta Jati or Raga Jati or any other Jati, selfish Jati. That's different. And if we think about these parameters or these qualities of Raga Jati might be a bit calmer. And let's say Metta Jati, the opposite of Dvesha. So the person is calm and quiet, and the heart rate is very, very normal, and maybe a bit low towards the lower side, and the blood pressure is very, very normal towards the lower side, and the person is very pleasant, and there's a smile on his face, and the face is not red. It's very very pleasant, we can say, and that kind of a Jati. That is the nature of that Jati. So the Metta Jati is different from Dosa Jati. So we are going now a step up. So we know now the Metta Jati and Dosa Jati. And the thing is, Metta Jati came from Metta Bhava. Dosa Jati came from Dosa Bhava. What is Dosa Bhava and what is Metta Bhava? So Dosa Bhava is the action of dosa, acting in that way. So you have a dead body, or you have a very inactive body. So body is not active, just a very passive body lying on the floor. And it is alive. Of course, it is alive, but it is very passive. So, let's say something is having a faintish attack, or something is unconscious and lying on the floor. The person is alive, but he's just lying on the floor. And what do you need to make that a dosa jati? To make that neutral body into a dosa jati, you have to make that body, or the process, the dosa process should occur in that body. For example, that person should show actions of anger. So the acting should change. So that dead or the passive body should get activated in a dosa way. Then you would point at that person or that body, and we would say that's a dosa jati. And what made that a dosa jati is the dosa way of acting. That passive body acted in a dosa way, and you call it a dosa jati. And that action of dosa, acting in a dosa way, is dosa bhava. State of being is a word that is at least near to the real real meaning. State of being. So for example, that a person, let's say bicycle, a person who is riding a bicycle. So the bicycle, a person, let's say bicycle riding jati. Bicycle riding jati. Now, how do you create a bicycle riding jati? That passive dead body, or not a dead, passive body is on the floor. To create a bicycle riding jati, you have to get that body and put it on a bicycle and ask or make that body to push these pedals, so that you see a bicycle riding person, and you call that a bicycle riding jati. And this bicycle riding jati is only because of bicycle riding power or bicycle riding action, because it is somehow created, because somehow a bicycle riding action is created. You saw a bicycle riding jati. Otherwise, there's no bicycle riding jati without bicycle riding bhava. So again, that is the same for metta. That is the same for selfishness. That is the same for everything else. So I hope that is clear. So then what is this thing about karma bhava and upati bhava? So that is, again, bhava is divided as karma bhava and upati bhava. Ati karma bhava, ati upati bhava. Karma bhava is because it is actually a, we can say, a storage where all these gets now, because of these actions, chetanaham bhikkhave kammang vadami, chetayitva kammang karoti kayena vachaya manasa. So chetana is a kamma, or the creation in the mind, mental creation is a karma. And people do karma using actions, using words, and using thoughts. So when thoughts, actions, and words are used, what we see is a various kinds of bhava. So when a bicycle riding action was created, then we saw a bicycle riding bhava. When a dosa action or dosa thoughts, dosa words, dosa actions, whatever it is, or a combination of everything, it created a dosa bhava. Metta words, metta thoughts, metta actions created a metta bhava. Bicycle riding thoughts, bicycle riding words or language, bicycle riding actions created a bicycle riding bhava. And all of this creates karmic energy. If it was created with avidya paccaya sankara, it creates abhisankara and would create eventually, or in the latter part of the patisampada, it would create a karmic bhava. And this is the karmic bhava due to various actions get deposited in the karma bhava. And when you are born after death, due to tanha, you get attached to manusa bhava, you get attached to tirisam bhava, tiraschana bhava, or again animal bhava, you can say, and again to hellish bhava and preta bhava, whatever it is, or deva bhava, brahma bhava. When you get attached, it is the karmic energy in the karma bhava which becomes the upati bhava, and and it is what leads to the upati or the birth. So one of the, if the karma bhava is like this, one of this becomes uppati bhava at the uppati moment, or at the moment where the chuti and patisandhi happens. One of that, a powerful karma bhava, powerful karma in the karma bhava becomes the upati bhava. That is what is called upati and karma bhava. So it is all connected. So all the actions. So if you are now a dharma desana jati is created. A preacher is created. That is the type. And what creates a preacher? If I was just lying on this chair without saying anything, that is not a preacher jati. To make this body a preacher or a jati, or a let's say a person who is giving a sermon, that kind of a jati, then that action should occur, and that needs thoughts, actions, and words. And when that is being that process or mechanism is being happening in here, then what you see is a jati. But what led to that conclusion is the process that is happening here, and that is called the bhava. Something like that. I hope that's clear. So dosha jati. Now you know, without bhava, there's no jati. So what led to bhava? What led to bhava is that clinging nature. That is very hard to explain in English. So when you have some kind of a process going on, you need everything aligned to work towards that process to be successful. So everything should work in synchronization, or clinging, attachment and clinging of each and everything in that body or in that system is what led to a synchronized mechanism going on. So clinging is what leads to bhava. Bhava is what leads to jati. For example, let's say dosa. So dosa jati was created because the action of dosa is seen in that individuals. So you saw that this is a dosa jati. This person is angry. Angry jati is created because this person is acting like an angry man. So action is what led to the jati. So what leads to the action? Because that person is attached or clinged to that kind of a bhava or jati, bhava. So angry nature is attached to the angry nature is what all the body, all the system, everything, mentally, physical, all the things are dedicated to that action. That is clinging. So attachment is what led to clinging. So and this goes on. So since we have discussed about bhava and jati, I think that's clear. So that's all the questions we have got for today's discussion. If I have missed any that you have sent to me privately or to the chat, to the group chat, please inform here. Suddenly, I am confused about bhava and kaya sankhara. So kaya sankhara is sankhara is the creation, and bhava is the process out of that creation. So bhava is what you see from the external, from the point of a let's say Bhava is what you see from a third person view. See, Sankara is leading to Bhava. Without Sankara, there's no Bhava. So in that sense, there's a connection. So avidya paccaya Sankara is what leads to Bhava. So there's a connection. So Kaya Sankara, Vachi Sankara, and Mano Sankara, everything is what leads to that shape. So see, my hand is moving this way. So let's say I am slapping somebody. I am slapping somebody. So Kaya Sankara is what led to that slapping. And Bhava is this action. So there's a difference. And what is the power that generates that action is the Kaya Sankara. And from a third person view, it is just a hand moving. And that is the process from the external way. And that is what leads to Jati. And that is why you have decided that this is an angry person or a person slapping Jati is created out of that. I think that's clear. Yes. So that seems to be clear. So we see consequence of certain power as Jati. Jati is the flame. As I see, the Jati must be the flame here. So karma, karmic energy, tapacya, tapati, sampada. So now the thing is, we have to go to the Patisampada again and sort this out. So, and I don't think these things are very necessary for us to understand core concepts, but since we have got here, I'll try to explain this as well. These are, of course, optional. These are actually Abhidhamma, parts of Abhidhamma that might not need for someone to complete the full Arya pathway as well. So it is like this. So the Jati, the Patisampada that creates a being. So Avidya. So here we have the two. Now this is, let's say this is the Idapacheta Patisampada. So in the Idapacheta Patisampada, we become angry, we become happy, we become selfish, we become envious. Various kinds of Sankara are done because Avidya Paccaya Sankara occurs. Various kinds of Vijnana are created, and Nama Rupa Salayatana Passa Vedana Tanha Upadana Bhava. All the pathway goes, everything is created depending on the other, and through the dependent origination, everything now happy Bhava, angry Bhava, selfish Bhava, envious Bhava, hatred, all the things are deposited here in the karma Bhava, and these jati are created, and jara marana soka paridev dukkha domana supayasa sambhavanti. So that is the end. And this happens all the time. And it creates the karma bhava. And this happens all the time until you die. So karma bhava is filled with various kinds of emotions, but the alobha dosa moha and lobha dosa moha creates the karma bhava. And based on your actions, based on the last things that comes to your mind. In the Uppati Bhava, what happens? Let's say your upadana as a person is dog-like upadana. So you do dog-like things or a donkey-like things. Or let's say preta is better. So you are like just like a preta. So you are attached to things, you are clinging on to things, mischievous and looking for these things and does not give others. You are hoarding things and you are always selfish and these kinds of bad negative habits are there in you. And after some time, the death comes. And in the deathbed, Chuti Patisandhi, at the state of Chuti Patisandhi, it is something out of this karma bhava which comes here and leads to pati. And that is not udapacheta. That is through Paticcasamuppada, where we use to explain birth. And this is the Patisandhi Vijnana at that point. This is the Nama Rupa becomes the mind and body. Salayatana becomes the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Passa becomes the ability to see the world. Vedana becomes the Rupa Vedana, Saddha Vedana, Gandha Vedana, Rasa Vedana, Passa Vedana, and Passa Vedana and Mano Vedana. And this again can be said as Passa becomes the human. Now this is Preta. Preta Passa leads to Preta Vedana. Now, because you have already created a Preta eyes, Preta ears, Preta nose, Preta tongue, Preta body, and Preta mind, which is a result of Preta Nama Rupa. Preta body and a Preta mind created the Preta Salayatana. And this led to Preta Vijnana. Preta Vijnana is what? That is a Patisandhi Vijnana. That is a Vijnana that is created at the birth. That is Patisandhi Vijnana. And that is a Preta Patisandhi Vijnana. Why does a Preta Patisandhi Vijnana got there in the first place? Because there's Preta Sankhara. Preta Sankhara was created because this person was developing Preta Avijja throughout the lifetime. And at the deathbed, what came out was from the Preta, from the Karma Bhava, there was Preta karmic energy which came here, which gave the seed for the Avijja, and it led to Avijja Paccha Sankhara, because you are so used to Preta Sankhara. As soon as the Arambana or the Rupa, Preta Rupa, or whatever the Preta Saddha, Preta Gandha, which from the karmic bhava comes to your mind, you just get to the Sankhara, because that is your habit. Then that is why a Preta Patisandhi Vijnana was created, leading to Preta Vedana, Preta Tanha, Preta Upadana, Preta Bhava. Now a Preta is born, Preta Jati. So that is a very different kind of a Paticcasamuppada. So the Idapacheta Paticcasamuppada does not need that kind of these two parts are not needed. That is in Abhidhamma. So you don't need this Karma Bhava and Upati Bhava when you are thinking about the Idapacheta Paticcasamuppada. It is a Paticcasamuppada that happens then and there, right now. Now it's a preaching Bhava. Now, let's say Dhamma Desana Bhava or Dhamma talking Bhava, leading to Dhamma talking Jati. This is because of Dhamma talking Adimokha, Dhamma talking Pasada, Dhamma talking Vedana, Dhamma talking Passa, Dhamma talking Salayatana, Dhamma talking Nama Rupa, Dhamma talking Vijnana, Dhamma talking Sankhara. And the lead is not Avijja, because if somebody is doing Dhamma talks with Avijja, then that is not a Dhamma talk. It should be Kusala Mula. So Kusala Mula Pacha Sankhara, Sankhara Pacha Vijnana, Nama Rupa, Salayatana, Passa, Vedana, Pasado, Adimokko, Bhava, Jati. And that is a good Jati. That is what you should practice. Then that is why it becomes Arya discussion of Dhamma, as well as listening to Dhamma. Now Dhamma listening, again, It is a jati, which was created by Dhamma listening Bhava. Which is due to Dhamma listening adimokha, Dhamma listening pasado, Dhamma listening vedana, Dhamma listening passa, Dhamma listening salayatana, Dhamma listening namarupa, Dhamma listening vinyana, Dhamma listening sankara is a result of kusala mula again. Dhamma listening kusala mula, you can say. So I think that's clear. You don't need to jumble everything up and make this more complex. As I said earlier in a previous discussion, Dhamma should get easier and easier, not complex. If the Dhamma is getting complex, more and more complex, then what you are doing is not right. You have to think of your approach. You have to think of what is wrong with my approach, because the more you practice Dhamma, it should become more and more simplified, not complex. If it is getting complex, then there's a problem, because with experience, with our experience, with everybody's experience, what happens is it becomes simple and simple. Initially it was hard. Initially it is hard to understand, but the day goes by, when the time goes by, when you start practicing, it becomes easier and easier and easier, and finally you don't even need words to explain these things. Just have it in your mind, in your emotions. So that becomes that easy. So it should become easy, not hard. So don't try to make it complex with more and more data, details. Details are not the way to go. The way to go is understanding the core concepts. But that much of the data is that much of data is needed, essential, and after that you have to apply it and practice it and try to get rid of all the problems or all the defilements or all the raga dosa moha or all the problems that you have. I remind the thing that the important thing is to see the big frame of Patisampada with wisdom. There's no need to analyze in detail like Abhidhamma if we seek in a practical way. Yeah, that's totally correct. So if we try to put it in a very, very if we try to understand more and more in a very mechanical or in a very what do you call a very technical way, or if we approach in a very very educational mindset, so you are trying to get educated, you are trying to get the information, that kind of a mindset would not get rid of raga dosa moha. What we need is, we need to find the place of where raga dosa moha occurs and practically apply this patisampada and get rid of that. And this patisampada gives the idea that you are not in control of what is going to happen. Vedana is due to passa, and you are not in control, but passa is in control. What passa, what kind of a passa that is created would decide what kind of a vedana that is going to occur. So that in that part you are not in control. Again, from part to part, isolate that part and think that whether you have any control, and then you would see you don't have any control, but you see a control, and that is illusion, and that you should use for your good practice. But you have to understand, with that understanding of patisampada, you would see you are helpless, you are so and this way of thinking that you are and this way of acting that you want to control is what leads to problems, and you would be able to see the anicca nature and be in a upekha mind, a neutral mindset, when the things go wrong, and you not get attached because it's pointless. And this is what you should understand. And you would not get any confidence of I can do this, I can do that. No, this is very risky. You cannot think like this. When you get angry, you cannot think, no, I won't let me get angry again. Who knows? If the causes are getting aligned, the effect would occur, and you get angry, and you can you might feel like you can stop from there without hitting the person. Yes, that might of that kind of a very what you call very that kind of a approach is there because of the illusional nature that we talked about earlier and in previous discussions. But that doesn't mean it is because you are able. That is because the Patisampada works in a so integrated manner. When you took a decision, that is also being able to be implemented through that same Patisampada, which is through the dependent origination. So that is why you felt like you are able to stop it. Yes, it is a feeling, and it is there, and use that to good use to stop from bad evil things that comes to our minds, and to promote the better good things that comes to our minds. That is the two sides. That is why it is said, if you have read this Samma Vayama, what is the meaning of Samma Vayama? And you might know this. Virya Uppannang Kusalanang Dhammanang Upadaya. Viryang Arabati Chittang Paganhati Padhati. Like that, there's this. If there's kusala, you should try to make it more and more. You have to try to try and improve the kusala, and you have to try to improve the or create the uncreated kusala, and you have to try to eliminate the akusala which are already created, and you have to try to stop the creation of akusala that has not already created. Those are the 4 ways of Sammavayam. So Sammavayam is needed. Sammavayam should be used, and that is, yes, that is true an illusion that you can use that, but it should be used, because otherwise we would not get purified. Our minds would not get out of defilements, and we would not be able to complete the Arya pathway. So that is why it is needed. So that's the. If you don't have any other questions, then we have completed all the questions for today. Mr. Tushan, back to you.
There was a nice answer. See if we have, I think, done more than 2 hours. The sermon has continued for more than 2 hours. If anybody doesn't have any more questions, we can end the sermon. And Thero, by having abundant metta towards us, we have preached blissful Dhamma today to us. So we rejoice in your meritorious deed. And if you would be kind enough to also